Welcome back to Baseball Night in New York. 4 more days remaining for you to make plans for New Year's Eve and for baseball writers to turn in their Hall of Fame ballots. It's Jorge Posada's first year on the ballot. Over his 17-year career spent entirely with the Yankees, he made 5 All-Star teams and won 5 Silver Slugger Awards. So, John, certainly you have a vote. Does Jorge Posada belong in the Hall of Fame?
I think he deserves consideration for sure. He's not on my ballot this year. To me, he falls a little bit short. We know he wasn't a good defensive catcher. His offense ranks up there well enough to consider for consideration, but I think falls a little bit short. But I would love to see him stay on the ballot, and that could be an issue here because, as time evolves, 5-10 years from now, we may look back and say there's a generation of catchers that don't hit. Maybe Posada deserves to be in there, but I think that could be an issue. He may not get the 5% mark this year because there's such a crowded ballot.
Yeah, that's rough. It actually makes me crazy about the process that they limited to 10 people that you can vote for. It's such an arbitrary number. One established decades ago when the game was fundamentally different. For instance, there weren't any black players in baseball. There weren't any Latin American players in baseball. There's 16 teams when they had this brought in. There just weren't as many players. So I think that's a huge thing that's actually going to hurt Jorge Posada here. I think he's a no. I get a vote next year. Unfortunately, he might not even be on the ballot when my turn comes around. I think that's a shame. I think there's a lot of guys, especially with the steroid backlog that we've got, that end up, being unfairly knocked off this ballot because really it should be about, is he a Hall of Famer? Is he not? I think it's unfair when you've got spot 10 and 11 and you've got to make that decision. It's not fair to the players, not fair to the voters, and it's such an arbitrary number.
And I know you can say that, well, look, is he a Hall of Famer or not? But I think there is a point to be made where we do look at guys differently as the game evolves. We look at numbers differently than we did 10 years ago in terms of on-base percentage, OPS, all that stuff, and defense and base running, the value there. I think that's helped Tim Raines. He's in his final year. Looks like he's going to get in. I would love to see somebody maybe just be, if you're on the ballot, you should stay on the ballot for at least 2 or 3 years, regardless of how many votes you get, something like that. I think that would help a guy like Posada.